going on, family? Make sure you guys get them likes up as you come in. Get them likes up. Also, subscribe to the channel. Let's be respectful in the chat, family. Glad to have you guys in attendance. Shout out to the Green Gang. Jedi Mike, I see you. It's about that time, family. Let's get them likes up again. Also, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to the greatest network ever. Y'all ready for Ameera? Put the ones in the chat, y'all. Put the ones in the chat. Come on, family. Hit that like button. Hit that like button, y'all.
Thank you, DJ JR. Thank you so much for that beautiful welcoming. And thank you all for the ones. I appreciate it. That gives me inspiration. It gives me a little bit of life here. How are you guys doing? How's everyone doing? Hello, Boa. Hello, A Favors. Hello, Sandy. Hello, Hana Rahim. Hello, hello. Hi, Larry. Hi, Maximus Prime. Welcome in. Hi, Sierra. Hello, hello. OB says, rest in peace to KS. Your message will live on because it was all true. You guys will have to forgive me today. Today I'm a little bit, this show was going to be really hard for me to do because this just came at the worst time for me to get more and more bad news, you know what I mean? Going through a lot right now, and whew. But here we are. Let's count our blessings and let's value everyone that we still have here. Hello, Terrence. Hi, TEC. Hey, girl. Thank you. Hey, Snuggles. Hi there. Hi, Samuel. Thank you so much, Samuel, for the super chat. He says, hi, Ameera. Good to see you. Good to see you as well. Thank you so much, Will MB. Shout out to you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Hello, Eugene, Mr. Steele. How are you? All right, guys. Look, I'm gonna beg you guys to forgive me if this turns into a short show. I'm not trying to, but it's going a little bit rough. I want to talk to you all about our late Mr. Samuels. Mr. Kevin Samuels, he has just passed. For those who, I'm sure everyone knows, but for those who don't, Mr. Samuels was called the godfather of the community, and for good reason. He helped so many people. And one second. I will, JR. Thank you. He has helped so many people in the community. He has helped more people than he could have ever imagined, and I was one of them. You all know that I was constantly tuned into Kevin Samuel's show. Sometimes I would make appearances on his show. He spoke basically about all of the things that I always wanted to talk about before, but it was kind of hard to bring it out, but he brought it out. Thank you so much, Mr. Davis, for the super sticker. All right. My question here is, how did I find Mr. Samuels? I'm probably sure, like most of you, I think most everybody found Mr. Samuels after the Average at Best video. I found him before that. I found him when he was speaking to men and he was promoting the perfumes and so on. I wasn't interested. I was like, as a woman, I didn't know his views on women at the time. I wasn't interested in his content. I'm sure many of you all had the same experience. So, unless you were men. So this is how I found Kevin Samuels. Shortly after, I started watching his content when he began speaking with women, but he would not have them on the video. He would have only the audio of the women speaking. And that's when I started watching more, because it seemed to me that no one had ever spoke to women the way he did. And as a Middle Eastern woman, when I saw that, I was impressed to see an American man have the balls to say what was needed to be said. And the only thing that worried me was, hi, Melanin. The only thing that worried me was the pushback that he was going to receive. And I knew he would. I do want to ask ladies on this show. I do want ladies. I want the ladies to call in. I want ladies who found Mr. Samuels to be useful, to be offensive, to be beneficial in any way. I would love you all to call in today. I do appreciate the men, but I would love to hear from the women because what I've seen since his passing is a lot of hatred, vitriol, and just foolishness all around. I've seen people trying to say that this man did not have his life in order. Oh, he was drinking Red Bull and he did this, and oh, this is why he passed away because he was so vitriolic. Is that a word? He had a lot of vitriol, and this is why those evil people they die early. That's not true. Most evil people live the longest. The good people die early. So I'm just astounded at how much hatred I've seen for this man's passing. So this is how I came across Mr. Samuels. I even called in the beginning of his channel just to see what he had to say because of my views. You guys know my views. I'm very much conservative, and I wanted to see if even I was too conservative for him. And actually, I wasn't. He surprised me by what he thought of my culture and our ways, and so on and so forth. The thing that I thought about Mr. Samuels at first glance was that I never got the impression that he was sweet. Other people, I saw that there were a lot of people calling Mr. Samuels sweet or gay because he was well dressed, and people were talking about his wrist or something like that, mannerisms. I didn't see any of that. I could be wrong, but even if that were the case, I did not understand what did that have to do with his message. This is why I'm talking about how people, and it happens to many people, it happens to us on the network as well. Instead of listening to what we're saying, a person will try to attack who you are, how you look, what you're wearing, how you dress, instead of addressing the topic at hand. And that happens so much with Mr. Samuels, and we never know what we have until it's gone. What I learned from watching Kevin, I learned a lot from Mr. Samuels. I found his content to be quite shocking. It was, here, 1 second. It was very shocking, and I didn't know if he was doing a lot of the things he was doing for shock value. That's what people ask me too. People ask me that all the time because my content, of course, it's like, oh, you do this for shock value. You do this so that people can be triggered or they can get upset. And I did not get that impression from Mr. Samuels at all. I saw that he was doing it to kind of like when a person is, have you seen a person who's delusional or who is maybe hallucinating? You take them and you shake them, or you may even slap them. This is what people used to do all the time when a person was hallucinating or just not in their right mind. This will happen all the time. So what I saw him doing was, in his way, was a verbal shake to the people who are listening, because it's no longer that he saw things as like it's an emergency. It is, the time is now. We need to change now. And that's the same way I feel about a lot of things as well. So it's not always a shock value factor. It's also about getting people to recognize the heaviness of the subject, the heaviness of the topic, and sometimes it takes harsh words in order to get through to people. And I think that's why he used those words. What Kevin was able to teach me. Now, a lot of things I've already learned from my father and my husband. You all know that. The thing that I got from Kevin Samuels was I didn't understand my why in my culture we're so strict, why we have to do things this way, and why is it so restrictive. Everything is so restrictive, especially on women. And I didn't really understand why until when we start talking to Kevin and he was explaining the reasons why women tend to behave the way that they do now in modern America, modern Western world, whatever you want to call it. He explained to me the reasons why. Because if the culture is so free and liberal and we are elevating one gender over the other like we do with the women, elevating them for no reason, telling them that they're queen, mother, goddess, and all of this, that when you do that, you create problems. And this is why my culture is the way it is. I wouldn't have understood that because sometimes I feel restricted in my culture. I feel like we can't do anything as women, or why are the men so strict and always on us like this? Why? This is the reason why. Because if it's not, then this is what we have in the Western world. Are there limits? Yes. And can you go too far with that? Of course. But he gave me a better understanding of why my culture is the way it is. And even he also said that a lot of communities will do well to learn from other communities. A lot of people don't like to hear that. A lot of people say, why you need to learn from other people? We can fix our own problems here. My thing is, if you see something good in another culture that's working for them, why not embrace that? Because if it's working, it's working. It doesn't matter. I also learned a lot about men and especially, sorry guys, shh, and especially black men. I learned a lot about black men. Oh God, here we go. I can see it now. I can feel the daggers being pointed at me. Ameera, how dare you? Here comes the daggers. Right at my face. I get it. I understand. But I learned a lot about black men from watching Kevin Samuels. And maybe people will say, well, that's not the right thing to learn because Kevin Samuels doesn't represent all black men. Maybe not. But he's the one who pulled out the stats that I didn't know, talking about how black men are the more active fathers, especially when it comes down to child support, that black men are the ones who pay their child support on time and more consistently than any other race. That black men were the ones who were failing so much in school, and yet they were still, how can I say it, succeeding above black women. I didn't know that. I would have never known that had it been for him. And I would look up this stuff because I didn't know. And I didn't know that black men were the ones who were struggling so much in school. And he brought that to my attention, and I did look it up, and it is true. Did I disagree with anything that Kevin Samuel said? I did. I disagreed with, but I would never say this if he were still here because, I don't think it's my place if he's here. But since we're speaking about it and we are honoring him, I want us to speak honestly to one another. There is one thing that I did disagree with. When Mr. Samuels would do his questioning of women, I noticed that there was a bit of a conundrum there when he would say things like, now this is only for us to all improve as well. I would like to improve in this as well because I don't like to be so black and white with things anymore. I think I do need to recognize the nuance. And the thing that I noticed that I disagreed with was Mr. Samuels. He would say like, "Do you want to live in a home and have every child have their own room?" Women would say, "Of course." He would say, Do you want to be able to travel? Do you want to be able to have vacations? The women would say yes. Now, when you ask a person these type of questions, every person will say yes, but that doesn't mean that that is a necessity in their case. And this is the thing that I wanted. I wanted to see if anyone could point this out, to say that you're asking people about a life that is kind of like a dream life. No one would say no to a dream life. So why, when they say yes, Kevin Samuels would say, okay, that means you want a six-figure man, of course. And it's like, Kevin, you ask the woman if she wants it. If she wants it, every woman would want that. So that's one thing that I was kind of like, maybe, I don't know what's going to happen from here on out. I don't think anyone can take the place of Mr. Samuels. This man, he went from being just a YouTube figure, personality, to being mainstream. He did work with Future. I mean, you guys know, I was at work Friday morning, and the first thing that I saw on, I believe it was NBC, uh, they have like articles and so on, and I go through their articles, and the first thing that I saw in their articles was YouTube star Kevin Samuels passes away at the age of 56, and that was crazy to see that, because I thought Mr. Samuels was so, he is such a personality that even NBC, which is NBC, everybody knows is huge, even they recognize his passing. And then you see people honoring his passing, people like, stations, news stations and so on, but then you look and you see women online talking about how, I don't care how much you hate someone, how could you, sometimes we don't know when someone is actually trying to help us or hurt us. I do not believe in any fashion that Mr. Samuels was trying to hurt anyone. And the thing is, so it's like so many women online are sitting there praising his death as something that that was a long time coming. Oh yeah, this is what he deserved, and so on and so forth. By the way, oh my God, I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat right now. Mr. Samuels was vaccinated. Sorry, JR, I did that. I did it. You guys can argue with me if you want. He was vaccinated. And I think he got a booster right before. Well, I don't know. You guys can argue with me on that. I don't know. I'm conspiracy theory queen over here, so I don't know. But people celebrating his passing as if he was a detriment, as if he was, it just hurts. The other thing that I saw was how so many people saw Mr. Samuels as a father figure. I saw him almost as an uncle. It's like people were calling him Godfather, and people say, oh, he gave himself that name. No, he didn't. He didn't. People started calling him Godfather. This is what they felt for him. His passing was so random. You guys tell me when you call in, especially women. When you heard that Mr. Samuels passed away, what did you think? Did you think it was a joke? Did you think it was people messing around or people wishing death upon Mr. Samuels and so on? This man did not look unhealthy. He was thin. He didn't drink. Well, he barely drinks, so he says. He said he barely drank. He would drink Red Bull, and people were saying that the Red Bull was the cause of his passing, and that's not how that works. Red Bull, I have seen people's hearts get really enlarged from drinking too much Red Bull. But that happens at the moment when you're drinking the Red Bull. If you overdose on Red Bull, which you can do, that can happen where the heart just expands. I've seen that. That it's possible. But Mr. Samuels, I do not believe that was the reason for his passing, but we will find out later, won't we? I'm sorry for being so emotional. It does hurt me, and I don't know how you all feel, but it hurts because someone so adored, so loved, so respected, and even feared. Some people feared to even speak to him, passing away this suddenly and unexpectedly. JR had just actually did a show that Thursday that Mr. Samuels passed, talking about protecting Black men. And it's just, I don't know, like, I had one more theory before I let Miss Patty Cakes on. I had one more theory. People were talking about stress levels, cortisone levels. You know, cortisone is the hormone, the stress hormones. Talking about that, and like, could that be part of the reason for him passing away so early? It's just being so stressed out and always, doing these consultations and so on. Who knows? But I want to see what the women have to say about this matter. Please welcome Miss Patty Cakes. Hi, Miss Patty Cakes. How are you?
Hi. Oh,
What do you have to
just
say on the matter about Mr. Samuels? Did you love him? Did you hate him?
no. Loved him. Listened to him. I even had to check myself. What you would say accountability is sexy. That was one of the things that he said for this year, 2022.
He
Um,
did.
and I literally had to really look at some of the things that I was doing too, you know, as far as being a wife and, just being, he just touched my soul and I miss him. When I first heard about it, I, I thought it was a joke. I think it was I say his name wrong, the clinician, kosher clinician.
The
I,
kosher clinician? Kosher clinician.
yeah, he was going live at the time and he was talking about it and I was like, wait a minute, this can't be real. I really thought, I didn't know what to think, and then once I got on Twitter, it was a wrap. I was like, wow, because as we say in the community, Black Twitter was on fire, and it was just, they were just bashing his name, and I had to like totally get off social media at least for a hot minute and just process what happened. And I'm still like, every time somebody even says it, I am still trying to process it.
Same.
it
Same
it's
here.
it's almost like it's so surreal. It doesn't make any sense. It's just, oh, the night before he just had a live, and I didn't listen to it. And I was like, when I get to work, because that's what I do. If I don't get a chance to listen to it when I get to work, I'll play it while I'm working. And then
Hmm.
it's like, that doesn't make any, like, none of it makes any sense
Hmm.
to me. So, ugh.
Well, I'm gonna mute you just for a second because I have feedback when I'm talking. You have an echo. I'm not sure why, but the thing that I wanted to speak on as well is what you were saying about us having to check ourselves as women, even as a wife, like appreciating everything that my husband does and understanding where I stand. I always knew where I stood, but I never knew that that was something so strange to do. I never knew. But it made me be more of that for my husband. It made me just, when Kevin would point out these things, like, the jobs that men do versus the jobs that women do, and how women, yeah, we can take office jobs, and yes, we can make money, and we can do accounting, and we can make a lot of money. Yeah, that's true. But when it comes down to things that are actually necessary for humans to live hygienically, like the sewer systems, plumbing, and graveyard digging, and all of that, none of us do that. None of us women do that. And I never took the time to think of things that way. Kevin would break things down in such a way that you could, I don't know. I mean, he just had a way of speaking, and I know so many people value that. I'm gonna unmute you. I'm sorry.
No. I'm sorry. I didn't know there's an echo when I talk.
No, not when you speak, but when I speak, I hear myself back.
Oh, okay.
Gary says the hyenas and sun husbands are cackling.
That's the horrible thing about about what's happened. All of these women, and one I heard one say, oh, I'm fat. I get men. And it's just like, but are you married? No. So how are you winning?
I mean, the worst part is the hate and vitriol that I've seen from women. It even came to me. I got emails saying I'm next when Kevin passed away, saying I'm next. So you're just wishing death upon everyone that you don't like. You don't like someone, you don't like their views, so now it's death to you. But yet I'm the extremist, right? I'm supposed to be from the terrorist countries and talking about death to America, death to everyone. But I'm the one getting death threats. Just idiocracy. Maximus Prime says rest is important for us men. But men, this is why I say, you guys work so hard. Mr. Panderson, welcome in, Mr. Panderson.
Good evening, Ameera. How you doing? Can
Good
y'all hear me
evening.
out there?
Hey,
Doing well. Do you have anything on the topic?
Yeah, I was actually up here earlier. I was gonna say, for the passing, I was on a plane flying to Virginia, and I got
Oh,
a text
really?
Thursday from a friend, and I was trying to read the message. Something about Kevin Samuels on Twitter, and then the plane took off, so I didn't get to check it out. When I landed, it's this rumor is that he died.
Mm-hmm.
Like, damn. Then I found out it was true later that night.
Mm-hmm.
Bad thing is, I already knew Thursday night that Friday morning, all out Friday, I wasn't going to be able to look at social media. I mean, not I wasn't going to be able to look at Facebook
Mm-hmm.
or go on Instagram because I already knew what
Mm-hmm.
they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of negative things we've been saying we're glad that he's there. I already knew. I already know who people are, and they're not going to change. But the most disgusting part about it is these people have kids. You talk about what's going to happen in the next 5, 10 years. These angry people, men and women, they
Mm-hmm.
have 12, 15, 18. That's what's coming into the next dating market. That's what's going to be
Mm-hmm.
working to your left, to your right. That's what they're being taught in these households. That's what these people are.
Um,
Right now, I'm just like, look, there's no point in going back and forth and fighting. He already did what he did. He was successful, and he's moved on. He can't hear what you say. He's celebrating heaven somewhere. So while you're celebrating, he's celebrating harder than you are. He's slim and trim and got all his health back that he lost, like while he was on Earth. And if somebody's 400 pounds and mad because he said that they were 400, you're still 400 pounds. Actually, when you click this red X, you're responsible for the life that you're living right now. So if you live in hate, uh, I'm not going there with you. I'm actually going to the gym. I'm going to the beach. But why? And it's not just about the death of Kevin Samuels. It's about celebrating a death of someone who looks like Kevin Samuels and wishing the death of those who are already still here living. That's not cool. But it is what it is. Uh, Me and I hope a lot of others in the chat already decided, you know what, y'all can do what you do. We're still going to go out here and win and be productive. And choosing not to engage in the back and forth and going engaging into the fight. Let them do what they do. Let them feel how they feel and go out there and be productive and successful. That's what Kevin Samuels would want us to do anyway. That's what he talked about.
I found out through JR and Anton. It was, yeah, I didn't believe. I was like, oh, it's definitely a rumor. Maybe somebody's playing a trick or something. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't lie. It did. I was on Black Men Unfiltered's channel. It was talking about it, talking. When they stopped and took a pause and actually played the song, The Good Life, I had to stop it because I actually started to feel it. When I heard the music, because the music does nothing but draw out emotion anyway.
Mm-mm.
I actually felt it like, because when you hear this song, you already know, here he comes, candle of the evening, fragrance.
Mm-hmm. Perfume of the night.
No more of it. It's over. And I had to take a pause and go walk and do something else and come back.
I want to ask you all a question, even in the chat. Chat, please tell me this. How many of you are refusing to watch Kevin Samuel's channel right now? Because I haven't been able to watch his channel. I haven't. I wanted to because I did want to, hear him again and so on and so forth, but I just can't. I can't.
I watched it to study, to see his health. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
yeah, I just because I didn't believe it. You know what I mean? So I had to watch like the last live YouTube broadcast that he had, so that I like it's because I still didn't believe it. He was healthy. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I think that's the reason why a lot of these Wait a second. A lot of these women, especially women, are online laughing at his death because they're like, "Oh, look, you were criticizing women for being big, but you're the one who passed." And it's like, how often do you see that? That's not that common. You expect that out of a person who is just like Mr. Panderson says. What is it, 276 or 476? Which
Yeah,
one was it?
but if I checked out tomorrow, they'll be doing the same thing for me. I mean, that's who the people are. But I'm going to heaven, so I mean, it is what it is. But still, that level of negativity is just really not cool.
Thank you. Give me 2 hours. He said, "KS, I miss you back." This is, I mean, I'm so sorry for being a wreck, you guys. I wanted to be able to come on here and just, speak, but it's very hard for me. And I'm gonna share something with you guys. Kevin and I had a plan to do the etiquette school. We were gonna make an etiquette school, and we would, have some other women come in and do etiquette courses with women and so on and so forth. Because I had spoke to him because I went to finishing school, so I told him that is a way that a lot of women can go back to being like feminine style, being enjoying their femininity, embracing that femininity. He had the plan to do that, and I can't do it without him. I don't have the following, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I want to do it. I still want to do it, but
I'll help you. I'm here for you, Ameera.
I just, I think that's what hurts even more are the canceled plans, the canceled things. He had so many plans. He was starting groups as well. He was going to start doing, what is it called? Meet and greets, where people came in together. He did background checks on people just to meet together. And my question is, for those who hate Mr. Samuels, what is your reason for hating this man? Because I understand the tone. I understand the too much honesty, too much not caring about how you feel. I can understand that, but is that really a reason to hate? For those who are even in the chat right now, calling me trash, calling me something, calling Kevin Samuels trash, what is the reason for hating that man? I can understand why you hate me, but why him?
They
I
don't
don't
like me
understand.
that much. They don't like me that much either. So
Well, that's because you keep calling everybody 276 pounds. That's why.
I still come in good faith, though. Like real talk.
How
I
is that
come to
good?
clown. No, I come to clown. I mean, but I still come in good faith. I actually wish the best for people. People with 276, can you get down to 226? Can we get to 176? Like for actual life and for a better healthy living. Jokes are jokes, but I mean, I still come in good faith.
I want to ask Miss Patty Cakes. Women, I need women to call in, please, because I need to hear from the ladies. I need to know. I need to know exactly what did we gather from his time here. What did we gather? What are we using today, right now? That he gave us. What is it? Because he didn't leave just leaving us with nothing. He's left us with so much. So what did you learn from him, if anything? Miss Patty Cakes, did you learn anything from Mr. Samuels? Did you disagree with anything that he was saying?
This is no. I agree with 100% of what he was saying.
Even when he said that high value men can cheat? Or I'm sorry, exercise options. You agreed?
Yep.
That, see, these are some of the things that women would not get down with. So, what did you gather from him that you are using today that you learned, if anything?
The whole accountability thing is I'm what I'm starting to see is even at work, some of the women I work with, it's like, oh my God, it's my eyes are open. And since my eyes are now open, is I can't close them anymore. So now like I'm super accountability on myself. So and just I I'm sorry. I ain't gonna hold y'all. I'm about to start crying. So I'm gonna go. But you all have a good night. And rest in heaven to Mr. Samuels. He was a miracle worker in my life, touched my heart. And I'm out. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Patty Cakes.
And Lady D in the chat, I believe we have a space for you. We can
Oh,
gladly have a conversation.
I would love to hear from her. Hi, Mr. C. I would love to hear from Miss Lady D. I would love for her to call in and to bless us with her great wisdom. To tell us why the hatred, why the vitriol, and why I'm next. Um,
Lady
so
D going once.
don't do it.
Lady Dusty going twice. All right.
She won't come. She won't come. I know she won't. This is like typical like hang out in the chat, talk trash, and just yeah, that's it. It won't happen. Hi, Definite G. How are you? Another thing is all of the sayings that he had, all of those sayings that he used to give us, like someone called it out right now. Here it is: modern women are dudes, but he didn't say dudes as men. He there was an acronym there, and I don't remember exactly what the DUDES was, but then he also spoke about high value men and the traits that they have. They have the dime, which is like a discipline, integrity. I think it was either morals or I forget what the M was, and then ethics. And yeah, that was a dime. Yeah, and ethics. So all of the things that he would give us that we could use as, oh, we have another lady. Hi, Carly. Can you give me a wave, please? Thank you, girl. Thank you so much. We have a woman here.
Turn me off. I get it. It's cool.
It's okay. Hi, how are
Hey,
you?
I'm okay.
So, can I ask you, did you like Kevin Samuels? Did you dislike him? And if you did like him, what, if anything, did you learn from him or did you take from his time here with us?
I loved him. Definitely saw him as like the father I wish I would have had growing up. Um, I learned a lot from him. I'm married, and when I found him, I felt very convicted. Um, and I I showed my husband him. That was kind of a scary thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Because like now you're gonna get the backlash for some of the things you do. So, but I
certainly.
showed him to my husband because it was like a wake up call. Like I don't know if anybody knows about Jordan Peterson, but um, it was on that level of a wake up call for me when I was introduced to Jordan Peterson. That was like one of the first wake up calls for me, and so Kevin Samuels was like just the next layer. Um, and I learned a lot, and it just began me on a journey because in the type of household I grew up in with my, you know, uh, watching my parents interact. Um,
Were they married?
I didn't, Mhm.
They weren't married.
Well, yes and no, and
It's complicated.
that's a yeah, very complicated. Um, because that's a very very long story.
I want to just really quickly, I want
Um,
to say thank you to the super chat. Mr. Kane Freak 2001. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's a Mr. or a Mrs. I'm sorry. He says, Amira, do you know who the cackling hyenas are? Feminism and most modern women. Rest in peace to Kevin Samuels. Now they will call me a misogynist. I will be fine. It's the last time I'm here and I have middle finger money. I appreciate your middle finger money. And as for the hyenas, you know what? And Kevin was the one who actually called them, addressed them as hyenas. So when we were talking about the dudes part, thank you again, Mr. Kane Freak. When we were talking about the dudes part, Miss Lou Casley, which was also, she was very close to Kevin Samuels as well. She was one of his main mods. He would always call her out. But also, Mr. D. Will said it was delusional, ungrateful, in denial, entitled, and selfish. Now, this is one of the reasons why I think a lot of women despise Mr. Samuels, because how dare you call women delusional, ungrateful, in denial, entitled, and selfish? Because when we are so used to being called princesses all of our lives, of course, when we hear this kind of language, we're going to reject it, the majority of us. But I still don't understand how women aren't logical and self aware enough to realize that the majority of women do suffer from many of these traits that Mr. Samuels brought up. So, how can you even if it's not you, how can you not say, you know what? The majority of women that I do know, they do think they're the S. They think that they're Queen Elizabeth, and in actuality, you're just average. Well, it's just average. Most of us are average. That's what's called being average, because that's the majority. So why is it something to hate somebody over is my question. Welcome, Mr. Takeshi.
How
How
you
are
doing?
you?
What's good, Jack?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you better
Okay,
now.
cool. All right. Thank you. Sorry, my mic was far away.
Mr.
Um,
Grover, Mr. Grover, can I get you to give me a wave, please?
oh,
Thank you
Mr.
so
Grover's
much.
here.
Thank
Yo,
you so
Grover,
much.
come on up, man. My man, how you doing?
Greetings. How are you doing?
I'm
Hello.
doing good, sir.
Welcome.
Hello. Hello. It's
So everyone feel free. I want you guys to just speak to me. Let me know what you all think, because this is why we're here. We're here to speak about Mr. Samuels, the good, the bad, and the ugly, whatever it may be, because you know, this is, what our last show that we got from him is the last show that we're gonna get. So
Yeah. Well, I'll say a few things because I was on a stream and it was called Black Men Unfiltered, and we said our piece on him. To the things that he had said. It was a wake up call for most people in our community. Personally, for me, um, I was glad to think I was the only one to think like he thought, and it was also the biggest thing that people need to understand of our kind. He wanted us to win. I ain't heard. I don't know about y'all, but I don't hear many of our people talking about winning. Instead, what they promote negativity when he was promoting positivity for us to be the top, to be the best of our uppermost potential, which doesn't get talked about enough. I don't hear that enough. I really don't hear it now. As opposed to when I was in high school and middle school, I heard it a little bit, but it started to fade as I got near college. I didn't hear enough of that. Now, when he came, it was like you guys got to be able to regulate. You guys got to be able to be smart. You guys got to be able to understand it's not about you. It's about the relationship that you're in. You're in this. Fulfill both. You need to fulfill the quota that you both have, but also you need to be able to determine what type of person, determine the person you're looking for based on his character. That's for the ladies to understand that, but for the dudes, it was also know what woman you're rolling with. Know what know what type of person she is. If she's with your program, she's a keeper. And also if she talks well about her father, that's an indication that you got something there. But you still take care of business. You can't be talking crap about any of them when you ain't got it. And I'm like, thank you. Majority of guys in my family said the same thing to me. I'm like, it's the same thing. So Kevin, I would say was more of something that was needed. And I think I think he did fulfill what he wanted to fulfill, to get some things out, to get us to talk, to really get people to understand that it's not about you, it's about the relationship. Like I said, the both of you. There is no I, there is no one. It is both of you, never you. Don't and be
Mr. Samuels,
unselfish.
everything that he said were the same things that my father said to me, and this is why I was so
Shout out
surprised
to
that
your father.
women, thank you so much, that women were so irritated, or what's it called, they felt like disrespected or something like that. I'm like, this is what other culture men are saying to the women. This is nothing new for us to hear. So
Hmm.
it's just like, having that be such a shock, it also showed me that this is not common, especially in America. It's not common for women to hear a man actually being honest like that and saying what men actually want. I think so many women here, hate me or love me, a lot of women here have the wrong idea of what men want. They think men want this thing, and it's like they probably want the opposite of what you're talking about, but you would never know. Kevin Samuels came, gave you the truth, and you're like, oh, no, 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 he's a misogynist. I hate him, so on. Mr.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry,
I think it
Mr.
was Grover. I think right.
Mr. Grover, please welcome in.
Thank you. Uh, so the biggest thing that struck me about Kevin Samuels is that he reminded me of my father in a lot of ways. The straight talk, the and just the things, especially when he was speaking to men, what he taught men. And I think that it's really the things that when the clips, the viral clips don't tell the whole story. But when my dad told me when I was young, you don't just earn the right to get a woman. You don't just earn a right to a beautiful woman. My dad told me that my mom was the most beautiful woman he ever seen, and he worked his tail off. But it's not just money. It's being a leader. It's making the right decision when the right time comes. It's making a tough decision. So I would see my dad leave home at 6:30 in the morning and get home at 8:30 at night because he had extra time to make extra money so I could go to private school. So I'm fortunate. And just certain things, carry yourself a certain way, speak a certain way. You belong in every room that you have access to. If you have the credentials, I'll take what they're having. This is things that I've believed in my entire life. And I think I don't know what happened, especially to young folks, but Black people in general, in particular. I don't understand what happened where this went away, because this was the norm when I was growing up. This was the norm. I mean, probably a little older than everybody. I find that a lot lately. I used to be the young guy, but this is the norm of you have to be 20 times better than everybody. But once you get there, you earned the right. As far as what he spoke to women about, I mean, it's kind of like if I tell a woman what she wants in a man, I don't really know. And what he was telling women from a man's point of view is what men want. And especially if you say you want a man who's who's gonna make the top 10%, who can have their pick of the litter, do you qualify for that? Well, as men, we're always told we have to qualify for women we want. I don't just walk into a place and get a woman I want. And I mean, I ain't never seen a dude with a beautiful woman with a bus pass. Let's just keep it real. You have to be a provider. That's what a man does. So
Me neither.
I don't have a lot to say. I've been a fan, Ameera, since back when I seen you on a Lapeef Network and you were just there. And I appreciate people having real honest conversations. And last thing I will say before I jump off, because I'm sure you got a million people, is that I was sickened by the way people spoke of the dead. The way I grew up, you never spoke ill of the dead. And the way I grew up, that even if it was your enemy, you can still show respect. Because that's how men and adults act. You show respect. Jay knows me. No one has ever seen me be disrespectful when people have cussed me out. And I sit there and say, well, if that's where we're on there, sir. And I'm not scared of anybody. It's not fear. It's respect for myself and how my family raised me. And that's all Kevin was trying to do. And it hurts as almost 50-year-old Black man to see that we've fallen this far, because most of the people coming at him was our women. And that's disgusting.
It is.
So respect to everybody. I won't stay here too long. Plus, I'm literally in the middle of 15 things, but this is actually, I had to jump on. Maybe it's therapy for me, but everybody respect. I will watch from the back and, keep an eye out.
Thank you, Mr. Grover. I appreciate
much love and
it.
respect to you, my man Grover.
Everybody be cool. Have a nice evening. And take care of yourselves.
Sir, you too.
Thank you so much.
By the way, tell the people you love. I lost a lot. Tell people you love them. It's important. Thank you,
You
folks.
guys heard it. You guys heard it. Value the people that you have today, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. How did we know that this is going to happen to Mr. Samuels? Cyrus, give me a quick wave, please. Thank you, sir. Welcome in. Mr. Barry Hamilton, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, Ameera, Kevin Samuels gave you a few mentions on his shows, so he recognized your presence in his space. We'll remember Mr. Samuels' valued contributions. Thank you so much. And I always appreciated that. I never knew that he even cared to hear what I had to say, but when I saw that he did, it surprised me a lot. Mr. Ricky, if you want to come on, I need you to you're in the car. Can you just give me a wave, please, so I can know that you're a real person? Thank you so much. Welcome in.
Hey,
hello,
Cyrus.
Hey, Cyrus. Hello, Jedi. Jedi, how you doing, Jedi? And we have to get Mr. Steele in first. Mr. Steele, you were here first, correct?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay, how are you doing today? What do you have on the topic?
Well, I can remember the first time I've ever heard of Kevin Samuels. Jessica X actually introduced me to Kevin by showing his videos, and I wanted to sort of check him out. And when I checked out Kevin, I was like, wow, his monologues. He spoke with such intellect, and also, I've watched a lot. I watched a lot of content creators before. Well, actually, quite a few content creators before I've seen Kevin. The other content creators I watched spoke a lot of truth. As brutal as he was, but Kevin, he was actually the first male content creator I have listened and subscribed to.
Really?
Yeah, he's actually the first. And so I've listened to him. He talked about relationships, but in such an intellectual manner. I think that's what was so different about his monologues.
Right.
And me trying to learn about relationships, myself, he showed us the type of women to avoid, because they're steadily calling into his show, and with these wicked attitudes, and
Mhm.
it's I see who to avoid. I can also remember, and then too, what I also like about him is all that terminology he comes up with.
I know. FBI. What was the other? CIA? Oh, dime. What else? There was so much, and it just
Big
makes things so
Shirley.
much easier
Yeah.
to remember. It's like remembering the lessons from school, right? It's
Uh-huh.
wow, such a teacher.
Yeah. One thing I want to say that, yes, I did come on Kevin's streams 4 times, myself. And the one that stuck out to me was when Kevin Samuels was talking about, improving the image of the black man. And, I remember he asked the question, who controls our image? And when I first answered, I actually gave the wrong answer, basically. So then, he took the time to explain everything to me. I've listened. And then it really dawned on me. It really makes sense. So then he asked me the question again, and this time I said, "We do.
Mm,
We control that image."
mm,
And there's one thing that Kevin Samuels always talked about. Our image, and how we need to change it. Before he talked to women, he used to talk to men a lot. Listen to I listened to one of his recordings. He talked about, if we want to get promoted, we need to cut our dreads or something.
oh yeah.
And
Mhm.
it made me reflect on my job. I'm a teacher, and you don't. I barely see a black male teacher with dreads on.
Mhm.
I barely see that. Um, Also, you
Can
know,
can I interject really quickly, Mr. Steele?
yes.
I did miss a super chat from Mr. Mike Ashchi. Sorry about that. He said, "Shout out to Big Shirley." He said, "Rest in peace, Godfather." When I found out that he died, I thought it was the cackling hyenas hating. But when it was confirmed and I found out that he did pass with a woman, I pumped my fist in the air. He is my hero, and I am white, happily married man. Rest in peace, Mr. Samuels.
Yeah, man.
Amen.
Yeah.
And a shout out to Big Shirley. Big Shirley.
Sure.
Pardon me, Mr. Steele. You can continue if you like.
Okay. And also, he was one of those content. Like I said, I've watched two other content creators before who made me reflect on my past relationships. But Kevin, you know, again, this is my first time hearing it from a man's point of view, and he really said things so quickly. But I want to end it with this before I go. And I told this to all the content creators who I've all resonated with. If you want to continue Kevin's legacy, then all you have to do is keep doing what you're doing. Do not stop what you're doing.
Thank you
That's
so
it.
much, Mr. Steele. Jadi, Grandpa.
How
You're
you guys? How you guys doing?
doing
How you
well.
doing, man?
Doing good. Yeah, I've been kind of quiet this past few days. This has been like a lot. Like that was kind of like weighing on my heart about this. And And one thing that, as I've been in a state of prayer about this, just like trying to gather myself, because uh, I want to see this as a more of a macro perspective, just as more as Black people, um, in terms of how we are conducting ourselves during this time. Because the one thing that I want to go into with at least Mr. Samuels is really instructive criticism, right? And unfortunately, and I'm gonna shout out to my good big brother of mine, Sir Hill Speaks. It's like us as Black people, we think we're above criticism. We think we're above criticism. We're above, being told the truth. Um, and also, as I mentioned before to Jordan Peterson, in order of us to seek truth, we got to risk being offensive, right? And Mr. Samuels took that risk, right? And I think that encourages all of us to take risks in life in order to seek truth, to seek understanding, to seeking or proving ourselves. I was very disgusted with my people this weekend, how they conducted ourselves, right? And shout out to the person before talking about how you treat the dead, right? You know, especially, and I don't care, like, regardless your like cultures, whatever, like that. There's a level of humanity that I feel us as people we should have, right? And sometimes I look at today in the news and stuff how we conduct ourselves, especially with this whole Roe v. Wade situation and everything, or just how, like, and folks just us as a culture, how we're just treating each other. But then obviously we have specks of hope that there's things like still worth living for, and also we can still have faith in some people. But the one thing about I want to talk about is that one thing that Mr. Samuels uh that he also value was knowledge, right? But the thing about with knowledge is that knowledge is given, knowledge is out, but more importantly, knowledge is earned, and knowledge is given to people who go through life experiences. So when you have some of these people, we've seen consistently throughout these platforms, and when he started his conversation, when you consistently see people who refuse to go through these life experiences or refuse to seek wisdom from people who have gone through those life experiences, well, there's that little thing that's called life. You won't be very knowledgeable of it, right? And I felt that, time and time again, you see people in space that have gone through the hard troubles, especially as men, right? And the one thing one of the videos that I want to turn to Black men about was when Kevin Samuels was talking about Black men, you belong, right? And to me, as someone, and like I'm 23 years old, like that spoke to me, because we feel like whether we might feel outsiders because we might go away from the ways in terms of our broken modern society, and still know who we are at our core as men. And I know, as me in my youth, that he has had an impact on me. I know I would not have gone in this space and meet see people on these panels I've established good relationships with, who I now consider family, right? I would not have gone through that if it wasn't for him having started this conversation, right? And the thing about it, consistently I've seen now after what happened, reminding me is that we as a people, we're distracted, right? We're distracted over the main thing, which is purpose, duty, foundation, right? And we're distracted over us being offended, us over trends and media going on, instead of actually focusing on its core, which is foundation, right? Because we don't have that, then we're crumbling, we're falling, right? And the whole point of like telling people that you love them, right? I don't care that we can have arguments and disagree and all that stuff, but if life just showed you that the dude was live streaming the night before, and here we are the next day, mourning of someone over his passing. And it should be a reminder that people that you look up to, that in your life, just tell them that you love them, because that's what the heart about it, it matters, is that you don't know that the next breath you take is not guaranteed, right? And I challenge us as men that, much as like he might have started the message, he even said this: "Hey, this isn't about this. This is bigger than me." Kevin Samuels said, "This is bigger than me." It's not, "Oh, this is the Kevin Samuels mantra," right? So
Yeah.
I encourage folks to say, not trying to put him in a position of like, well, he's gone, it's over. Like, no, he started something for us as he might have been a spark when we continue this flame of us of us men becoming the best version of ourselves. Becoming terms of high value men of character, men of foundation. So way that we also be the leaders in this community and control this Black male media that he said that that he wants us to do, and what we're going to do and going to finish. We're going to have that Black male media controlled by Black men for Black men, right? We're going to have that media where we're going to redefine our image, right?
You brought up a good point. You brought up a good point, Jedi. I know you on a roll. I know, but you brought up a really good point about how he said that he can't be the only one for everyone to depend on. There were times when people would say, especially women calling in and saying, when he said, where can black men go to air their grievances, to speak about the issues? She said, oh, well, they can just come to your platform. And he said, so all these millions of men are supposed to just, I'm supposed to take on that load for everyone, just me? And I wonder what's gonna happen now. Like, who, like, I don't know. No one can replace him. No one can replace what he did.
No.
But, and if somebody tried to copy him now, they would just be called out as copycats, because nobody will accept a copycat of him. So
roast them alive.
Exactly.
Right. You know what's what's interesting about you saying that the copying, right? Like what you said, brother, just now about, you know, we as men needing to stand up for things, right? So that copying is necessary. It's necessary. Like, gentlemen, it's necessary that we copy, adapt, and then, you know, change, modify as we go along. But we need to copy what he's done, because his time here, I mean, I only knew the brother for just a little over a year, and I found this guy at my lowest. I had ended my engagement. My home was gone. I was a wreck. I was done.
Oh, no.
I was done. And, you know, I found him, started listening to all of his content from the beginning. I know a lot of people started with the women. I started from the beginning where he's talking to men. And like you said, you know, one of his key messages, you belong. You belong. You know, the simple fact that you're alive, gentlemen, you're here to do something. You're here to do something.
Can I interject with something real quick?
And please, brother, please.
Yes, sir.
When you got somebody like Kevin Samuels who became powerful in his message, and it resonated with so many people, that meant that there was a need. Now, how I became adapted to liking Kevin Samuels, and actually finding myself looking forward to his broadcast, was the fact that he would hit on things that I heard so many people talking about, but it wasn't talked about on a major platform. These are things that we as black men talked about in the barbershop or when we were hanging out with our friends. But now to know that on a mass scale that people are going through the same thing, that resonated powerful with me. The first time that I've actually sat down and took him serious, I'm a Johnny Come Lately when it comes to Kevin Samuels. He did a show called The Sign. The 4 things that low value women do. And then I noticed that this behavior is not just in black women, but in also the offspring of these black women through the black males. And I noticed that, you know, when I heard my barber talking about a lot of these black men are acting feminine nowadays, it hit me 10 times as harder. I'm like, oh, okay, because my barber, he's an old school guy, you know, where you have some of these barbers who cut hair and they do it like mass production. It's a craft to him. And he's, you know, when he says something, it takes you a while to get it. But Kevin Samuels brought it out when he was talking about how feminine some of these young people are acting. You think about it. And if you look at the sign, that doesn't apply to just black women. It applies to some of these young black males. There's been many times that you walk away from a fight or some kind of altercation, and they come at you in the same way with the SIGN. You know, that's what I mean. Cause I'm a smaller YouTuber. I'm not a big guy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm one of those little nobodies that everybody talks about. But one thing that I will say, because I stay on the political thing, my channel's boring. But what made me start talking about manosphere content was him, because these are things that when I saw that everybody was getting involved in this, and this was something that was becoming more talked about. These are things. So if it's like Kevin said, he can't take on that load alone. We all have a part to play in this. And when I was at the Manosphere meetup in Atlanta, the crazy part was that it was a more fellowship. And I think that we need to have more manosphere type meetups where positive black men with positive things to say and plans can get together. And because the only way we're going to save this thing that we're going through right now is if we got a network. And I believe he was the spark. We got to be the fire.
No, you're very right about that. Very, very right about that. 'Cause before Kevin, I was doing lives with men over on TikTok, right? I never thought to do it on YouTube. I was doing it on TikTok. And I noticed that very thing you mentioned about a lot of men being just very, very feminine, right? Very, very feminine, very emotional, out of control, very much so. And so it was a breath of fresh air to see Kevin doing it and the way he was doing it. I'm like, damn, this really is a problem. When you look around, you look at the men, you really look around, you even look at the men who are, at least in my case, the men who are older than me, right? So they're in their like 40s, late 40s, 50s, things like that, late 30s as well. You start to see them and you notice you're not actually the role model that I need to be following. There's traits and characteristics about yourself that if I emulate that, I'm going to become a weak man. I'm not going to be strong enough in order to facilitate a family, to raise children, to take on the issues and concerns of my community that my children and my wife will be a part of. And I just gotta, I love Kevin for that. Because he was the father I didn't know I needed. I didn't know. He said all the things that I needed to hear. He told me everything that I never heard before. Everything. And I'm sorry. Yeah.
Have you noticed though that what was David Carroll first who passed in December, now Kevin Samuels, and it's like, and we want to say that something happened to him. That a lot of people are suspecting foul play. We want to be angry at somebody right now, but I think that we should still stay focused on what his mission was. He drew the map.
I want to get Mr. Richard into this. Mr. Richard, welcome in. He's the last one that arrived. And also, I do want to get the lady to speak as well because we don't have many women come on, and I want to hear what she has to say. So, Mr. Richard, please.
Hey, Ameera, I appreciate you bringing me on. Hi to everybody on the panel. I'm not a YouTuber. I don't make videos. I don't go live. But I found it in myself to, build up the courage to jump on YouTube to speak about, the Godfather, Mr. Kevin Samuels. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, I don't want to make it sound.
I hear you.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. But I found his content about like 3.5 years ago, before he even was speaking with women, and it was already insightful because who knows about fragrances and suits and like business acumen and stuff that we that's like something that we don't get in our community. So that was already a draw for me off rip. I'm like taking notes on the fragrances. I want to smell good. I want to know what cut to have my suit in. So that was the first draw for me, and it was so refreshing. I was like, yes, I'm so glad to see a regular guy, not trying to be hard, not trying to, fake it or make, too much of himself. He made it about the people. So that was my first introduction, and as it moved on, some of the other guys said, man, I was in a bad spot with a bad situation, and the information that I had was, it was getting me along, but it wasn't doing what I needed to do as far as in my life and with my family. So Kevin Samuels actually gave me the strength that I needed, and just maybe, just like some wisdom, just to like strengthen my backbone and like really stand on what I knew was right. Cause you know, we out here men, we're men, we going off of our intuition just like women. Y'all, you know, women don't want to believe men have intuition. We are living life off of our intuition. When we can find some wisdom and a wise man to latch on to, we are going to do it. And we're going to take that and run with it and apply it to our lives. So that's what I did. You know, I wasn't looking for that. I thought I had it all, you know, under control. And, you know, even though I knew it wasn't like the perfect situation, I was like, you know, if I just waited out and just kind of see what would happen, you know, things would come around. Man, Kevin Samuels said, bro, if she ain't FBI, you need to double, you know, rethink what you're doing. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I mean, I've been begging for that FBI energy, feminine, beautiful, inspirational. I've been begging for that energy, but it just was not, you know, it wasn't, you know. So, like I said, it was just a eye-opening introduction. You know, hey, personally, I didn't agree with 100% of everything you said. You know, I'm not gonna lie, but I definitely appreciate the content and his aim. You know, I'm watching him aim at a certain target, and I'm like, bro, you really think you can hit that target? Every week he'll come back assuring me like, yes, I'm gonna hit this target. I'm aiming at the target. I'm going to hit this target. And if you want to come along, come with me. You know, if you want to be a broke, dusty, disgusting man, then do that. But if not, I'm going somewhere, fellas. Come with me. And
That's true.
that was just like
He was always improving no matter what, and that's what I can agree with. Mr. Traditional, can I get I was trying to get you to wave at me, but that's all right. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
But no. But before you go, I just wanted to get Mr. True Table on first because he was here before you, and then you. I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Okay.
True Table.
Thanks,
for the
Ameera.
way.
Why am I am missing so much? I am so sorry, chat. I do apologize, guys. I'm sorry.
You're doing what
We
you
do
can.
have another super chat, just really quickly. Mr. Billy Bob Joe, I'm just kidding. Mr. Billy Joe Jim Bob 19. He said be fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive. If not, get a dog and die alone, ma'am. Rest in peace, Godfather. And shout out to Big Shirley. Thank you so much, Billy Bob Joe. And thank you again, thank you, BTK, for the sticker. Okay, sorry, Mr. True Table.
It's fine. How you guys doing?
Thank you.
I'm sure everyone has been impacted by, you know, the passing of Mr. Samuels. Tremendous guy. You know, he will be missed, definitely be missed. Something you guys said, though, which is what made me jump on and wanted to just touch on it. So hopefully I can execute this correctly, is that I hope that as our community, we have a tendency to pedestalize certain people and feel that those people can be the only person. It happened when Biggie Smalls passed away, and then Jay-Z came in transition, and it was like, oh, well, Jay wouldn't be who he is if Big wasn't who he was. The simple fact of reproduction and greatness is that greatness is supposed to spark other greatness. It's supposed to replicate. What Kevin did in the time that he was here and the time that he was online, it's going to spawn off. It's going to replicate. You're going to see it, whether it's in the same delivery, whether it's in similar delivery. And I just want our community to be a little bit more open to not being so quick to try to, you know, oh, well, you're just trying to be like Kevin Samuels and things like that, because to not understand that greatness is supposed to replicate itself is short-sighted. And I think that our community sometimes have a tendency to do that, is that we want to have a one of one. You know, I mean, Kobe Bryant wouldn't be Kobe if Michael wasn't great, you know, LeBron and so on. So that is what I wanted to say. You know, you guys just keep holding the standard, holding the charge. And if anything, I want to see our community really figure out what it is that we want moving forward as a whole. I think the work is starting to be done. I love what I'm seeing. You know, you guys just keep it up. So
I just hope, I know you say to embrace the copiers or the people who seem like him, but I'm going to be honest, it's going to be really hard for anyone that I that thinks like me, it's going to be really hard for anyone to see anyone try to copy what Mr. Samuels did. And even if it is genuine, it's going to seem like it's not, because he had such a unique style. He was constantly improving his setup, his deliveries, his everything. You can tell this man sat down and took time to make acronyms and to put things together in a way that it's memorable, in a way that everyone can understand. So I can't imagine anyone trying to copy him and so on, but we'll see. And maybe we should embrace it. Mr. Traditional?
Can I say something? Can I say something real
Yeah,
quick?
please.
I want to put out the statement out there. Follow me as I follow Christ. You know, I feel like if the men creators who want to step up and say, I'm gonna bring that same energy. It's like Elijah and Elisha. The mantle can be passed on. So I say, you know, as the manosphere, let's accept that, embrace that, and encourage it.
It's gonna be a tough road, but it can be done, definitely.
Thank you so much. Can I get Mr. Traditional to?
Hey guys, how's everybody doing tonight so far?
Thank you.
Doing all right. So, when I saw this on the Lapeef as a topic of the conversation, I know that's going to come up after Sage did his thing talking about Mr. Samuels. You know, as a content creator, especially concerning what Kevin's been speaking on, it really hit me knowing, like, I didn't believe it from the day it happened. I didn't believe it till Saturday. But my prayers to the family, because as a believer, you know, life is but a vapor, you know, and I think we have to really understand that. I think from my personal view is this: Kevin spoke on some things most in the church I've seen is not spoken on, that we as men and women don't address, even in day-to-day life, especially do the work. You know what I'm saying? Do the work and be the best version of yourself. Do not expect a better wife, a better husband for your future if you don't have this done for yourself. Because the saying is true. Practice what you preach, right? Don't preach what you don't practice. And it will always show in the light as men and women. Even in the Black community, you know, we already starting off with people's mindsets of us. Well, I'm just saying that because I'm Black, of course. I'm saying this because we always start in people's minds who don't know us on the street like a -10. And we got to work our way up to 0 just to make a difference, to have them see that we are not like everybody else who may not be like what we believe. And now I'm a Christian, I have to be Black. But the thing is, though, it's not easy to fight that we got to make ourselves more appealing to fit in. Like, he made it more appealing to now know we have more value, and not just because we're Black, but men are valuable and women have value too, but they have to understand you have to see that value in yourself to know to seek the right people for that value, to know that you're valuable, to be that spouse that you want to be for somebody out there as a woman. So with me saying that, Kevin really made me think, reflecting on my life, because as a divorcee, as him, as one marriage, because I don't want to see that again as second marriage. I want to have a second marriage and be done with that whole life of being single. Cause I do want to have a wife that's just for being a Christian and raising a family. But the thing is, I got to be very strategic now more, because he told me some things on this videos that made me think twice. Now I got to see a woman's value and how she understands herself. You know what I'm saying? And it made me think deeper now. Like, she can't just be pretty in the face, nice in the waist. That ain't enough.
Yeah.
You gotta have intellectually understanding of yourself to know, do you believe in therapy? Do you believe in healthy eating? Do you believe in family? You know what I'm saying? I don't care about a career, because if I see a career woman, I already know what's gonna come next. There's too many like that. It's a carbon copy. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then the last thing I'll say, and I'll let the next person go because I didn't want to take too long. Kevin really helped me understand some things I wish my father would have taught me as a child. And my dad's an immigrant from Africa. He's from Liberia, and I was born in the United States. You know, I've been here all my life, being the firstborn American for my family. You know, Kevin spoke about the nerds, like Jedi Mike said. You know, I'm a nerd. You know what I'm saying? I was a jock, but I was a nerd at heart. I didn't want to say because I was too scared about getting called out. he told the guys who are doing the esports, Twitch and things. I'm an esports content creator for a team in Africa right now, doing it for about 3-4 months because I just signed up with the team January. He promoted that, saying, guys, those are the guys who are making more money, and they're the ones that's making a difference because they're the ones online. And I think those guys out there, the women are shunning them because they don't think gamers are relevant. They're very relevant because we're making a difference for financial gain for the future, because this is the future. We're going to streaming. And I want to encourage the guys who are gamers, don't stop, because Kevin Samuel did say we have a place. Shout out to MTR that's live streaming right now, playing Elden Ring. And Tyrone Magnus, he supported Kevin Samuels. He did a video. He just got a video out, just said that he lost subscribers because he supported him. He said rest in peace. So they see how it impacted a lot of people that didn't like him, and they didn't want to tell people that don't follow him and they don't subscribe. It's crazy. But not to overdraw this and talk too much, but yeah, Kevin made a big difference in my life for the right things. Did I agree with everything? Not 100%, but I knew the right things he said were true, that I know that in my life I've seen is factual. And
I would like to hear from the panel, speaking on what you're speaking about, Mr. Traditional. I want to get Detox and Mr. Williamson in before I go, but after we get Mr. Detox and Mr. Williamson to say their points, I want to ask you all, what did you disagree with Kevin Samuels? Because people always say, I didn't agree with everything, but I ask you, what is it that you disagreed with? And most of the time people have nothing. So I want to hear actual things that people disagreed with that make sense. So before that, I would like to get Mr. Detox, my cousin, and then get Mr. Williamson in. And Trinity, can I get you to give me a peace sign?
How y'all doing?
Good.
The Detox was good, man.
So Detox.
So Ameera, you said before you want to hear what people disagreed with, but then you said you wanted me to go first. Which one do you want to do? Do you want them to talk?
I want you all to get your introductions in first, because I don't want to get us too wrapped into a conversation, and after that the people who just entered, they're not going to get a chance to speak their piece. So I'd like you all to speak your piece first, and then we can go into the questions from the host.
All right, cool. So as far as stuff that I disagreed with, it was mainly just the cologne, because I started getting rights issues around 2015. We didn't really have too many people that had our views online, besides like the dating, like I forgot what they're called, the dating gurus that like teach you how to get chicks, and a lot of their methodology was flawed. It teach you how to hook up with a girl, but it didn't teach you how to become, the man that you want to become.
No retention.
Yeah.
Right.
In around 2015 is when I really got like deep into the numbers and the men's rights issues. And I used to get in arguments with my family and my fiance at the time, like stating these facts, and then they would come out and say, you're a misogynist and you're this and you're, and it was like that for like a good 4 or 5 years up until 2019. And then the pandemic happened. And I just remember finding Kevin's stuff and being like, finally, somebody who's like on point with the data. He thinks the way I think, and he's saying the things I want to think. And the most important thing that I think all of us can take from Kevin, as far as like, taking the torch and everything, is that regardless of whether you agree with him or not, deep down inside, the one thing that Kevin was excellent at, right, was helping us become better men.
Amen.
Right. And helping us better women. We have to get rid of our socialization and embrace our masculinity, embrace our femininity, whichever side you are, and becoming a better man is the number one thing. If you had to put a label on all of your actions, whether it be work, relationships, family, everything, the tag that fits everything, that encompasses everything, is becoming a better man. And that's what I loved about Kevin, is he helped us become better men. And if we have to take anything from his message, I mean, I just got in the biggest argument with my ex today on WhatsApp, because she's like, he's toxic, he's this and he's that. And it's just like, there's nothing we can do for those people, because they're looking at clips out of context.
Right.
They don't understand the message. Eventually they might get it later on down the road, but we can't convince everybody. We have to take the message and do exactly what Kevin was doing. 20 times harder. And that's all I got to say, man. Rest in peace. I feel like I lost a father figure, brother, you know?
Same. I feel like I lost an uncle myself.
Ah,
Mr.
Father.
Williamson. Mr. Williamson, welcome in. Typically, you have the controversial opinion, so let's see what happens tonight. You gonna start trouble?
Oh yeah.
Welcome in.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Well, thank you.
It's another day.
I just want everyone to know that this man lived about 50 years, and not many people knew him, right? And if he could live like the last 4 or 5 years that he lived doing what he did, the impact that he had is way better than his first 50 years, right? So sometime we're talking about him now because he impacted us in some form, not because of what he did 50 years ago. So basically what I'm trying to say, he's going to be remembered whether positively or negatively for what he has done for everybody, because he opened a lot of people's eyes and he also made a lot of enemies, right? To be a great man, to be remembered, you have to have ruffled some feathers. People don't want to do that.
That's true.
So if you want to leave a legacy here, it's not about money. It's not about power. Legacy means you can be remembered whether good or bad, and people can still talk about you in reference in years to come. Most people are going to be talking about Kevin Samuels for years to come.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the negative part is going to end quickly, but the positive part is going to continue because there's so little rooms for haters to continue. At some point, his death might actually have opened more light into his work as well, because at some point, the amount of work he was doing, I think most of his work was already done already. Right now, it was more of repeating the same thing over and over again, right? Most of his work was done. I don't know if you guys follow what I'm saying. So
Yes.
now, even the people thinking that because he's dead now, everything is going to die down, they actually bring more attention to his work.
True.
So a lot of people is going to find out, oh, why do people hate this man so much? He's dead. Why they hate him so much, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now people are going to start looking into his work like, well, I don't like how he said it, but he ain't saying nothing wrong. You guys get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
you have to be
I'm
polarized.
actually,
Yep.
say what?
You
I'm
have
actually
to.
don't have any sadness for him being gone, but I do appreciate him being here for giving us the gem that he gave us already. So I don't feel sad for him being gone. I was kind of shocked to begin with. I was like, what? And then I start seeing Anton came on air. I see O'Shea come and like, okay, now it's confirmed, right? Because O'Shea will not jump in line for something like that, and they were that close. So celebrate his life for what he's done for the past 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
Because that's his legacy right there.
I
So
want
I don't feel
to.
sadness
I
regardless of
wanted
his
to bring
passing.
up a quick point. What you said, Mr. Williamson, is correct. That usually you can be popular in life, but when you die, you reach almost God level because now people can't really say anything bad about you, but you're honored in your death. What did they say? They said, like, you know how you have singers? So a singer can be good and people love them in life, but when they die, they reach God level almost essentially for the people.
They say
You know,
when you're alive you're famous, and when you die you're infamous, which is like you
So I
have to
want to
be.
ask a question to the panel. What did you disagree with? What did Kevin say that you didn't agree with that is actually valid? Because most people say, oh, I agreed with him with most things, but not everything. So what is the not everything? Because I haven't heard anything
I
rational yet.
I would say the only thing I would disagree with is the only thing that came to my mind that really stuck out to me was, I guess because I don't fit this category, I guess high value men don't cheat, they have options, which comes to my mind as because I'm looking at it from a faith background, from a Christian perspective, it's adultery in my mind. So I wouldn't stand with that because it didn't make sense to me. It's like, what's the point of getting married then? You see what I'm saying?
On that point, I hate to break in, but I when he was speaking about that, what did he say? Exercising options. I really didn't take it as just marry a woman and then you are able to commit adultery. It's more of because what I was taking from it was that women take you talking to a woman is cheating, looking at a woman is cheating, interacting with the woman that's cheating, anything, period. So it's like, ma'am, he's gonna be around women, he's gonna be around other females, he's gonna take lunches, he's gonna take dinners, he's gonna be at different events. So even he said it like, it's not adultery, don't cheat. It's just like, ma'am, if we can't work together, then the options shall be exercised. You know what I mean?
He said, he mentioned saying also with that, like, competition is always around. You should be on your P's and Q's, which I do think that's true. Women should not be slacking when they get married. Just because you're married don't mean you go be 200 pounds, which I think that is a thing where women let go. And I think he did make a point about that, which I think you should not be just letting everything fall apart just because you're married now. That's true. I agree with that.
And he was talking about being righteous, be righteous in what you do. So if you're going to entertain other women, don't be, putting people in the dark about it. Just own it and live it. Own it and live it. Be a righteous man.
Can I get the lady to speak on this? Because I do want to get the woman's view on the disagreements and if she has anything to say regarding the options, the exercising options.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, that is something that I did disagree with, and that's when I began to fall back from watching him as much, and that's when I gravitated and just put myself under Anton. That's my guy.
Anton's a bad man.
Yeah. And for me, it was the same. It was because I'm a Christian, and to me, it is sinful.
James.
And so for me, I was just like, no, but I got it on the standpoint of, because I'm sorry, I'm saying a bunch of words. I've seen, like he says, that women and men cheat on the same level. And so I feel like cheaters need to be together. Because you're going to understand each other. But a lot of times they don't, because women like to deflect and not take any ownership. But I feel like that is the main thing that just made me fall back about it on a level of my Christianity. I just couldn't get down with it. It was distasteful to me, but I understood where he was coming from about everything. I understood him still. I understood what he was saying about it.
I do want to give my view on that before you guys finish this topic, because my view on that is that, God, you guys are gonna hate me. All right, men. What he was talking about, that men, high value men. He was talking about a certain type of men. He was not talking about every man when he was speaking about this. He was saying that men have the option to do so because they have most likely the ability to pay for their errors, their mess ups, and for hush money and all of this. Men at that level, they can do it and do it responsibly if they are responsible men. Now, when it comes down to morals, where everybody is clutching their pearls, they're like, my Christianity, my Islam, my anything. And it's like, this is not what he's talking about. He's talking about a certain type of men. And he was right when he brings up, dukes, kings, emperors, and so on. None of them were just with one woman. And they could afford to care for each of those women. This is why there's more women on the world than men. Women are, I hate to say it this way, but women, it's more easy for a woman to be in a sister wife kind of situation than a man be in a polyamorous situation with other men. It doesn't work that way because men are too territorial.
Can I interject on that point?
Oh, by the way, high value men don't have to exercise options, but they have the ability to.
Let me say this.
I just want to interject on that one particular point because I think a lot of people kind of lost the point of what Kevin was making. He did not moralize what people wanted. He let people express their desires as they are because he understood that people are going to be people. So he didn't really moralize what he thought that you should want. He just took what you wanted and then tried to help you get as close to what you wanted as possible. So he spoke a lot about the practicality of a lot of these practices, which is why he asked many times, where in human history did you see the guys with the most resources be limited to one woman? So it wasn't really necessarily a religious thing or any kind of moral standard. It's just a matter of practicality.
Yeah,
exactly. Also, really quickly, I'm sorry. I just want to say really quickly, I think that he also was talking to a specific type of woman. You know, it's not just across the board. These are the women that are, you know, specific to, you know, that genre. You want the six-figure guy, you want him to be busy and this and that and cars and houses and this and that. Okay, cool. If you're not on the level, then options, you know what I mean? Options are available. So, you know, it's just not a general statement. It was like, okay, if you want this and you are below the bar, then, you know, what do you expect?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to comment on, is that I think a lot of people misconstrued his message. He's saying, you know, all men, if all attractive men are all high value men, you should cheat. That's not what he was saying. What he's saying, if you want this caliber of man, this is the way he is. And if you're one of those options, you need to stay on your P's and Q's to maintain his interest. I think what he's saying is, this is how these men are. If you want to get to the club, this is what you have to deal with. He's not saying all men should go out and cheat, become a millionaire, and then have 20 girlfriends. What he's saying is, if that's the man you want, this is who that man is. Right? Understand?
And these
are the options he has, because all the women are chasing him. So there's a lot of options.
Numbers don't lie. Reality numbers are stubborn things.
Just a reality check, I think.
It's the way it is. Yeah.
Is there anything else that we disagree with? Welcome in Driscoll TV. Driscoll TV, guys, he's a rapper. He's a really good rapper. I have promoted him on my channel. Check out his music when you get a chance. Is there anything else that we disagree with Mr. Samuels?
So Kevin used to promote, like, this is just a minor detail. This is the only thing out of his message that I ever disagreed with, was he's really, really big on wearing cologne all the time. And then the way that I came into the MR space is that, for me, I felt personally that's kind of like a feminine thing, to be smelling nice and to conversation started.
My boy. My boy.
Bro. Let me finish. Every now and then, a special event is cool, but to be like putting on perfume not perfume, but cologne every single day, it's just too much for me. And that's the only thing I disagree.
Middle Easterners, we shower in perfume and cologne. Right. We just douche ourselves in it every day and go to work. Go work in construction. Go work anything.
Nah, dude, you can't leave your house not smelling good, man.
I think that
you can't.
You can't be a regular guy wondering why average women don't want average men, and then want to smell average, and then be like, nah, that's feminine, that he don't want to smell average. That doesn't even make sense to me.
Yeah, what I'm saying,
it's definitely a level up.
Let me finish. What I'm saying is that there is a class of men that think in order for you to pull a very attractive woman, you have to smell like women prefer natural smells. A man's natural.
I'm gonna have to disagree with that.
I disagree,
I'm
bro.
gonna have to disagree with that. I'm gonna have to disagree with that.
Yeah, dude, I can't roll with this one.
Right? Yeah.
Try it.
Can I say something real quick?
Well, let me. I'm gonna just touch on two things here, just to kind of simplify things. As far as the high value having options or whatever, just take a look at it this way. Many times he spoke on the difference between how young women have their value at a younger age, and men have to work to gain things to get it at a later age. Women have all their options at a younger age. So what men with I guess what ruffles a lot of feathers is when he's saying that man, once he's able to get to a certain point in life where he's able to have those options, it's just no different than a woman. It's just a woman loses her options as she gets older, and a man, as he's gaining more things in life and more value, he begins to have those same options. And as women get older, they want one man. And as when a man gets older, he wants more women. So with that, it's not the basis of saying it's only a high value man. It's saying if you haven't reached this certain type of level, and if we look at numbers like it always was so, is that even with a study coming out just recently saying people that are making 150K right now or living paycheck to paycheck. So if we actually do the numbers when you're doing taxes, if you're doing your living expenses, you're doing your vices and different things, people are saying that I'm making 120. You're really not making 120. You're really only making about 70, 65. So making 150 plus is something that would get you to a certain level. That way you have done the work. Like he's always said, show your work. And by showing your work is a man standing on his purpose and his focus and saying, hey, stay on it, do what you're supposed to do, get to this certain level. Your options will open, but you can make that choice if you want to be with somebody else or not, or multiple women. The cologne situation, I come from a family where I come from all gentlemen. It's always been, I've seen my father be tiptoe. Like I have a shirt, this is how you dress. You carry yourself every time you walk out the home. You presentable, you smell good. Women attract certain smells, certain smells work with your body. If you're going with your musk and different things, you got different colognes that'll bring out that natural smell, but making sure that you're clean and funk just don't really funk is not a cologne.
That's not what I said though. The point that I was making is that in order for you to believe that you are an attractive person, if you think you have to wear cologne, that's where the issue is. I'm not saying don't smell nice. That's not.
Well, he never said that, though, bro.
Never said that. But here's the thing, though. It's, see, you're looking at it as a point based on what you just said is you're looking at a fact of looking for someone else. It's not about doing it for someone else. It's about doing it for yourself, taking care of yourself, maintaining yourself, making sure you have good hygiene for yourself. Because as you get fresh and you feel good and you're putting yourself together, your confidence level goes to a different level, and then you're able to go into the workforce or doing with your job and be able to perform and demand the respect and be able to demand the things that you're looking for. So now you're showing the work and doing the things that are getting you to where you need to be in life and working towards those goals because you feel good about yourself. And whoever comes to along with that person, now you have that option to say, hey, these are the guidelines. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm able to do. This is what I'm going with.
The point that I'm making about that is not that smelling good is, I'm not saying it's not for me. What I'm saying is that a man's confidence should not rely on cologne. A man's confidence should come inside, not from external things. If you believe in yourself and your confidence is through the roof, you need to be able to do that without cologne. That's the only point that I'm making. Confidence is internal.
I don't think that he was making the opposite point. I don't think Kevin was telling people you must smell like this in order to have confidence. I don't think that he was making that argument.
I want to hear from the ladies. A woman, can I get a woman's view on this, please? I only have one other.
What I'm getting from it is it feels like that's coming from a place where a lot of women come from. When they don't want to do themselves up, put on makeup, put on heels. It's like, oh, sis, you don't got to do none of that. You take them let them take you as you are. You can wear your bonnet to Walmart. I feel like it's coming from there. And it's like, that's not where my confidence comes from, but that's where my confidence takes me to. Because I know because I know who I am and where I want to go. This is what I'm going to do to present myself in such a way that I bring the things into my life that are going to elevate me.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I'm sorry not to cut you off, but I just wanted to add, I was watching a live he did maybe the day of, and he was talking about smelling like weed and smelling like cigarettes, smelling like outside. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not what you want to do. I don't care how old you are. So yeah, it's definitely it's levels to life. Maybe in your 20s or 21, 22, but like if you pushing 40, bro, you need to be smelling like some of that ood and that must. Like them words we don't even know. Ood, what? Like, get some of that ood, man.
Do you mind if I tell a little bit of a story about like how I kind of started to understand that public image was important? I was about to get my driver's license. I started going to luxury car dealerships here in New York. I'm in New York City. And I just thought that my money would be good enough. And I was treated like, a minority that was wasting the salesperson's time because I walked in there the way I wanted to walk in there. And I was like, oh, these guys are racist, blah, blah, blah. And, after I got my car from somewhere else, and I only drive luxury vehicles, I would look like a total effing bum everywhere I went, driving luxury vehicles thinking, well, I don't care what you think about me. But I didn't understand that there are opportunities that you don't know that you're going to lose by virtue of how you appear to the world.
Yeah.
So last year, before Average at Best, I started to really understand exactly what Kevin was talking about when he talked about the importance of the public image, because, just because you did not commit the crime doesn't mean that it's a great idea to fit the description. So, now, like I went to a wedding last year for two of my personal training clients. And I bought a tuxedo. It cost me $1,400, and people thought I was losing my mind. But when I showed up the way I showed up, with my ladies the way they showed up, and I showed up in a brand new Mercedes-Benz that I had just gotten 2 weeks prior to the wedding, the respect that I got when I was there, it just gave people a different flavor. They just looked at me differently. One of the guys there, in his drunken stupor, wanted to do business with me because of how I presented myself. And I understood the value of that after listening to Kevin. So now I drive to Brooklyn. It takes me an hour to drive, 7 miles to go see a barber every 2 weeks to make sure that I'm looking the way I'm supposed to be looking, because you never know who you're going to meet and under what circumstances you're going to meet them.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. If you met that person without cologne, would you still have the same confidence?
I met those people without cologne, so I'm not going to argue with you on that.
That's my point.
I got a better question.
No, but I think the thing with Kevin, the point that he was making is how you present yourself. It wasn't about the cologne. He never said you must wear cologne. He says you must be on point. Whatever on point is for you, if it's being zestfully clean, if that's you and that's your thing, then do that. The cologne was just one of those things. A candle was just one of those things to set the environment, to put you in a mental space, to then elevate yourself in your own mind and then elevate yourself in the minds of others.
I agree. The point that I'm making is that you need to be able to do that with or without cologne. That's my point. That's all I'm saying.
So just to add on,
say you have to do it with cologne.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we disagree with aside from cologne wearing?
I did have one disagreement, but it's a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I understood that it wasn't really an issue with me, but he was speaking in generalities. So I think a lot of people took a lot of stuff personal. When you're speaking in generalities, I prefer women without makeup and heels. Very, very, very much so. Like if I see a woman with makeup and with heels, she's automatically disqualified. Like that's how serious it is for me. But that's just a personal thing for me. I understand that level of effort means a lot to most men. That's why I don't get the argument about the cologne thing. It's like he's speaking in generalities. He's not saying you must wear cologne to have confidence or whatever. He's just saying on a balance of probabilities, if you want to have these kinds of outcomes, you need to be able to put this amount of effort in. And for us men, part of that effort could be possibly cologne.
Yeah, you got to smell it. The natural face, but brother, you caught me on the heels bit. I mean,
can't do it, man.
That's one thing that you guys are missing, though.
Is it a height thing? Is it because of the height difference?
Nope. It's a health thing and it's a comfort thing. I don't want to be around a woman who's uncomfortable because she's annoying. I want to be around a woman who's not annoying. The you know, I don't know if many of you people know a lot about kinesiology, but the way that human movement was designed, the heels run counter to that. So now you're putting her in an uncomfortable position, in an unhealthy position, because you like the way it looks. I can't roll like that. And
It is
again,
kind of a torture device, I will admit.
it's
The heels
super
are-
important to me that I'm around a woman as she naturally is, and if she's annoying without the heels, goodbye. Like, I don't want to deal with you.
Okay.
Wait, I
Fair
want to
enough,
get a
brother, I
lady.
get it.
I want to get a lady's response to that. Miss, what do you think about this?
I'm very comfortable.
Oh, by the way, I'm 6'3"
comfortable in
for
heels.
people calling me short in the comments. I'm 6'3", so there you go.
Yeah, I'm
What's
very
your
comfortable in heels. I've been wearing heels. I don't know since I could walk, but I understand. I don't wear them all the time, but I could. I love heels, but you know, I don't wear makeup all the time. I'm not wearing makeup now, but you know, I feel like it's a. I don't know. It does something when you. I don't know. It's like putting on the suit for men, putting on your suit, and you know, it's the super suit. I guess,
Yeah, it's
you
like
know, I don't
the
know.
women's suit, right? It's like that's when we feel like
Yeah.
we are prepped and pretty, right? But I think it's the excessiveness of it. I think if you're wearing excessive makeup, yes, but a woman who just you know, how can I say, like pretties herself up, makes herself more perfect. I don't think that. Would you disagree with that? I mean, there is natural makeup too, where you still look dewy and fresh without looking
Like I said, I'm the anomaly here, and I'm making that very clear. My preferences are very, very different than the average man. So don't listen to me. But for me, I'm just of the feeling of, if you're pretty, you're pretty. If you don't got it, you don't got it. That's just what it is.
That's real though.
With that, yeah.
That's real though. That's real.
So is there anything else?
Nah, that I was I also want to say something that I did agree with that most people didn't agree with, if you would allow.
Yeah.
I am a non-monogamous. Like, I have 2 mates here that I live with, and I still date outside my relationship. And I understand a lot of people believe it to be an issue of, you know, morals or what have you, but I think that for different people are going to be willing to tolerate different things. So when you go back to the last week of Kevin Samuels' content, he was talking to a lot of women over the age of 35 and saying, ladies, your options are dwindling. What are you willing to put up with? What situation are you willing to work with a man under? Because is it better to have part of a man or nothing at all?
None at all.
So in my household, you know, the ladies work together and they're inseparable. Like, they love each other as much as they love me. My relationship is not about me. I'm not the centerpiece of my relationship. So it's a little bit different. But I think that Kevin was kind of onto something, simply because even if every black man, he kept saying this, even if every black man in America married a black woman, there'd still be 2 million black women out there, you know, whining, complaining, and celebrating a man's death out there. So I just think that, you know, just from a practicality standpoint, you know, it can work, you know, depending on how unselfish everyone in the union actually is. If you're a selfish person, your monogamous relationships are not going to work either. So
I understand.
That's just what it is.
I agree with that point, guys. I know people don't know, but I do agree with that. I do want to say thank you to the super chat. Thank you, J. Marie. She says this is an awesome conversation. If Kevin were alive, he would definitely show up and explain his concepts. I'm pretty sure he's here in spirit, guys. Let's just leave it there.
I wanted to add something to what was the name, brother?
Oh, I'm Dr. Evil.
Dr. I wanted to add something to what Dr. Evil had mentioned. That in a sense, the way that our biology is and our physiology, having more than one partner is what comes natural to men. Not every man can exercise that, but that's what women find you more desirable when you have options, and that's been my experience. That's, you know, if you look at kings and pharaohs and everything, that's how it was for them. Anybody, it's what works naturally for us. this whole idea of monogamy is something strange to me. Marriage is a very unnatural thing. I could never see myself being married to one woman unless I've had to pick from the litter. You get what I'm saying? So a man having multiple women, that's what comes natural to us. You know, you can decide to be monogamous after you've had the best of the best for yourself. And then the other thing I wanted to say is that the fact that we're able to have these conversations now, I think Kevin would be, you know, he'd be ecstatic about it. That's all I wanted to say. I'm gonna drop out of here. Y'all have a good night. Get back to work.
Thank you, cousin.
Good
See you
night.
next time. Mr. Driscoll, your wife is requesting that you speak in the chat, so I suggest you make her happy, or else it's going to be trouble later. So, Mr.
Absolutely.
Driscoll,
Well, happy Mother's Day to her, first of all, and all the mothers out there.
happy Mother's Day, family values.
I understand the monogamy thing is like a tricky situation. On that regard, I don't really disagree with what the gentleman said. I think it's just an honesty fact. I think if women know upfront what it is, I mean, most women can probably tolerate it. I think if a woman comes in thinking she's gonna be your one and only, and you flip the script 3 years down the road, that's where you're gonna have trouble.
Understood. That makes sense.
I got one point on that. See, this how I understand if the woman was with the man and they're starting out and they gradually make something together. But if I already made it and you just coming in, don't think you can have the whole pie to yourself. Now, I don't have issues with men that already made money trying to exercise their option or whatever it is. He never talked anything about. That's why if you notice any women that says they're Christian or something, he go harder on them because this was never about morals, value, Christian value, or any of that.
Yeah,
he's just talking about regular, everyday life, how human beings are. So he really went hard at those that believers, whatever they call themselves.
That's
He
true.
went harder than because he was never about morals. Because most women is not, even though they say they are, they don't live that way.
Not in
So
relationships. All fell.
if a man already made money and a woman is coming in, don't expect to have all that to yourself.
Mm.
Now, if you build with a man from the ground up, yes, it's an expectation because you both sacrifice to get that. I will understand that aspect, but he never says that they have to. He's saying if you're coming in to meet a man that's already made it, expect this, and don't be mad. That's all he says. If you don't want that, don't get with a man like that. That's what he also said.
He
You
also
have
went
the
really hard on
options.
Muslim women too. Any type of believer. He had Muslim women on there that he would call out.
Yeah. So if you come into that, I'm kind of like the same way. If you're gonna say you're religious and stuff like that, stay with that. But are you living that way? You can't have step and then all of a sudden you better because no. So that's where he came from on that. He never make anything general that everybody has to live that way based on. So people that, oh, I'm religious, so I don't believe in cheating on my wife or having other women outside and all that stuff. That's your own prerogative. That's not his issues. He never says anything about that. He didn't say men have to cheat. He said they have the options. But women that's getting with that sick men, particularly men like that, why are you seeking men like that to begin with? What's the Christian value there? Seeking that kind of a man, right? What's the religious value there? You seeking that kind of a man. You outside of your religious value doing that. You are more into your own natural being doing that. So if you are in your own natural being doing that, you're gonna mean a man. You're seeking a man in his own natural being, and a man in his own natural being want more options if they have. They
I
have
want
the
to ask you.
ability
I want
to
to ask the
do it.
panel a question. Now, this is going to be kind of a medical question. It's going to be a little bit on the serious side. Do you, panel, believe that Kevin Samuels was taken early because of us, because of stress, because of all the pressure that was put on his shoulders to be the go-to person for all of the relationship issues and cultural issues, style issues, image issues? Do you guys think that people put too much pressure on this man? Even though he was trying to accept it, he wanted it, but he also would say, I'm not the only one that should be doing this. There should be more of me spread out. Do you think that he's gone early because of this?
Can I respond first? I was listening to Dennis Sperling talk about Kevin Samuels, and he actually made a point similar to the question that you're asking, because Dennis Sperling was like, he was saying that he wished that he would have taken the part of, the role that Kevin Samuels was trying to give to him. He really had, different people. I'm sure, Ameera, you were a little closer in the circle or whatever, but he was trying to like section it off here, section, you do this, you do that. But it was a lot of I don't want to say they were timid or nothing like that, but like it was a lot of resistance. That's your lane. I have to stay in my lane. Da 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 da. And I really do think at the end of the day, it was stress. I think he did overwork himself. Put a lot of the pressure on himself, and I mean, just as a result of that, man, his body, after everything with the cancer and stuff, and he was just worn down and couldn't really, take it all. So I really think that was a good question, and I think that may be, hitting the nail on the head with that question.
What does anybody else think?
I think that should be a negative, because this man loved what he was doing, and I don't think anyone was putting more pressure on himself to do what he was doing. This man really wanted to better himself, make a fortune, wanted his name out there, so he worked just as much. Nobody forced him to do it. He's not because there's lack of men doing it that he did it. Did the amount of work that he did. He loved what he was doing. So don't take that away from him. Let nobody take that away from him. He loved what he was doing. If other people were still doing it, he would have still do what he was doing. He work as much as he was working. He had nothing to do with who was doing what. He would have come in and actually work with you, but he won't stop him from doing what he was doing. He loved what he was doing.
I mean, can you not love something and still have it stress you out to the point? I mean, people love their families, and their families stress them out to the point where people croak. Okay, so just loving something doesn't make it not dangerous for you.
That's true, but I would want to push it a little further. If I may, real quick, I want to push it a little further for you. I believe that us being here, right, and supporting his work and giving him the opportunity to continue doing that work, I believe we actually gave him more life. We gave him more life because we showed up when he needed us to show up. He needed people to listen. He needed people to take on the message. He needed people to say, you know what, let me change what I'm doing. And then let me let him know by sending him a super chat, sending him an email, shooting it out in the comment section. I believe, God knows best, but I don't believe the stress took him out. I truly believe the work he did gave him more life.
Because I think that people are forgetting one really important thing. He was 30 years past surviving cancer. So he's on a cocktail of different medications just to keep his vital organs functioning. I forget which cancer he had, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was leukemia. That's a blood disease. So if you're constantly on borrowed time, and then when you add in all of the other factors, the constant flying, the constant work schedule, the contentious conversations that he would get into night after night after night, and you can see how much it weighed on him. Like that one episode where the woman was, talking about how horrible it is to smile at a black man, and you can see the weight on this man. I thought he was going to break. I almost cried watching him.
Yes,
there's a lot of different factors. It's not just one thing.
Right.
Yeah, that happened 2 or 3 times.
Somebody corrected me, lymphoma. So your lymph nodes have a lot to do with regulation of hormonal levels. Yeah. So you're not going to get great regulation if you're not getting great sleep. So that's just part and parcel of it. I think that he knew the risks that he was taking, and he ran that risk, and he died the way most of us would hope to go, as men at least.
Like a hero.
I'm telling you, that's because that's why I say we should he's actually better off, because sometimes if you live too long, you can actually damage your reputation for what he has built. Because of now, he's actually like for most people, it's like a status right now that
Right.
most people look up to.
Y'all know.
He has break so many grounds that ground cannot be even again.
Can I get Mr. Chaotic to join in? Mr. Chaotic, how are you? The chat is happy to see you. Welcome in. How's it going?
I'm doing damned awesome, and happy Mother's Day to everyone, and positivity being sent out to everyone in the chat and everyone listening and everyone in the bushes. I just came in, I just had a live stream that ended like in 45 minutes ago, and I was doing some other things, but so we're talking about Kevin Samuels tonight, and I just want to say this, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. In modern history, there have been prophets that have come. Martin Luther King is one of them.
They hated him.
Malcolm X is another one. Marcus Garvey. Even in Africa, you had Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso. You had Jerry Rawlings of Ghana. You had Patrice Lumumba of Congo. But there was another man that came, and that man is Kevin Samuels. The man was, absolutely prophetic. And I really believe that he did the work of all those men combined, because Kevin Samuels had access to what those men I named did not have, which is the internet. Unfortunately, they passed away decades before. The internet is the most powerful communication tool ever created in human history, as far as I know. I don't know. With that being said, you can spread a message of hope. You can spread a message of posterity and productivity, or you can spread a message of destruction. Kevin Samuels spread a message of positivity and hope for not only the Black culture, but the overall culture in America. The idea of wearing suits, okay? We've gotten away from that. A suit allows you to have some sort of refinement. I don't know what it is about wearing a suit, but when you wear a suit, when you put on a suit, a lot of times and I'm going to be careful with words here, but a lot of times backwards cultural behaviors for some reason cease. And I'm being very careful here because I don't want to cause any uproar. But a lot of times the suit embodies a behavior that you need to exemplify. Maybe it's because the royal classes in ancient Egypt, not Egypt, but England wore suits. So maybe that's why when people put on a suit, you act more dignified for some reason. Now you have a generation now where 40, 50-year-old men are dressing like 12-year-olds. But I'm glad Kevin Samuels is here now, was here. And I'm glad that he spread that message, because now men could be seen as more respectable if they wore these suits, or if they're wearing suits. Colognes. I got hip to Kevin Samuels years ago when he was doing cologne videos. Mm-hmm. And this was about 8-9 years ago. And I never really watched them in detail, which I really wish I would have. But the man brought a certain level of cultivation that is much needed in the Western society, particularly a society that's being influenced on a daily basis by, I hate to say this, but by rap culture. A lot of rap culture is dressing like you're a 10-year-old, and behaving like you're a teenager, even into your 30s and 40s and 50s. Mm-hmm. The man also spoke. There were times where the man used certain curse words, but he was never vulgar. But he never walked around like he was above the people. He almost talked as if he wanted people to be like him, and he was like the common. Well, we're all. Well, I don't see now. I'm okay. He talked as if he was like your friend, and the things that he said to women were absolutely the most beautiful things I've ever heard in my life. When he said you're average at best, man, I'm telling you, just like Dr. King's "I Have a Dream" speech, your average at best is the equivalent of that.
I love it.
And you wait and see. Years from now, people are gonna say, "Damn, that was profound. He helped that girl out, and he helped out millions of other females." Women should be conservative, and that's what he was preaching. I came from a nuclear family. My mom and dad are still married, and my mom is conservative, and I understand what that man meant that day. You're average at best, and unfortunately, she is average at best. And he put that in her head to remind her, listen, you're not gonna get married if you walk around thinking you're gonna get a millionaire NBA player. You don't look that good enough for that, but you do look good enough for a firefighter, a police officer, a school teacher, something of that magnitude, which is nothing wrong with that
at all.
And to end this, and not almost, hopefully I can stay on the panel, but to end what I'm saying now, I'm going to be one of the first people to say it. Instead of George Floyd statues, there needs to be Kevin Samuel statues. Take down George Floyd statues.
You said something then. You said something then.
Yeah.
You said
talking about this
something
earlier with some brothers.
Yeah. And make a school after Kevin Samuels. The Kevin Samuels preparatory school.
Yeah, right.
That man needs a school.
That was fire right there, though. You said George Floyd, bro. That was fire.
Take down those George Floyd statues and put up Kevin Samuels.
There are two things I'd like to say and then dip off. One of the videos that I did shortly before he died, Anton, and I love Anton Daniels, but I didn't agree with the whole, if you make average money, you don't deserve to have the cooperation of a woman. And Kevin Samuels came, I think, the very next YouTube show, and he stated his very clear opposition to that thought. And I did a video on that, and I really appreciated the way that Kevin constantly championed the everyday man, even though the everyday man really does not get the respect that they deserve, even though they're the reason why the so-called high value man has the bandwidth, has the overhead to be able to do those things, because they make it possible. The other thing I wanted to say is, there's a lot of Kevin Samuels, Kevinisms I heard somebody say on a live stream before, but this is one that I haven't heard anybody talk about. And this is probably the most important of them all. I'm getting a little emotional. He said, life is about people. Life is about relationships. And that is something that has stuck with me. It's burned in my head. And I see it in my everyday life. It has enriched my everyday life. And I think that what he was doing when he was saying that is, you guys want to talk about how religious you are and how holy you are and all this stuff, but you're all begging for guys that make money in the top 5 to 0.0007%. Even if you do earn all the money in the world, he was talking to men that made money and said, "Oh, we shouldn't get married." Like, no, you wildin'. Like, marriage is important. Life is about people and relationships, not this lifestyle that somebody can provide for you or anything of that nature. And I really wanted to express that. I also want to express a lot of admiration for JR, for Rilla, for you, Ameera, for some of the ladies on the panel, but usually all of the guys. I've been watching religiously since I think Courtney Michelle's first show, when Kevin, that I found out about you guys through Kevin Samuels. So I decided to jump on here today. As you can see my background, I chose to do the screen behind me thing because I learned that from Kevin Samuels. So I was sitting here watching the show just like everybody else. And I said, you know what? Let me speak my piece. And I just really want to repeat one more time. Life is about people and relationships. Do not forget that. super, super important. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be on your platform and speak with you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to the panel. I have to get going, and I want to say I appreciate this conversation that we had. I do apologize for losing it earlier because I couldn't hold it back, but I think you guys can understand why. I guess I want us just to remember the best of Kevin, and I think there's a lot to remember because he was just the best. Just in him being, to me, he was the best. And I know others are like, he was whatever, but I didn't see that because I actually listened to the man. When you actually listen to him, you can understand his genius. This man was a genius. And I am sad that we're never going to get a new video from him anymore. We're never going to get to hear him say again, welcome Big Shirley, or there goes Big Shirley, or where's my FBIs and my CIAs, and we are out. And what he says all the time, we are out.
What's going on, man?
I'm going to miss that so much. We're all going to miss him, I imagine. And I want to say rest in power, rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. We miss you. I miss you. I can't watch your channel right now because I just can't. But thank you all for joining me. And thank you, J. Marie. She said, what do your life look like at 55? That's what he always used to say. What will your life look like?
Don't look like it.
Mr. Chaotic, did you want to say something?
Yes, there are individuals in the chat who would like to know my channel. Is that all right if I say it?
We typically don't do the promotions, but everybody likes you, so go on. Go on.
Well, my channel is the Chaotic Truth Live. That's Chaotic Truth Live. I typically go live, 3 times a week. Please come over if you are interested. I got muted.
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't do that. No, this must have been you.
Oh, the Chaotic Truth Live. Please come over if you are interested in conservative talking points.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chaotic Truth. You guys heard it from him. So thank you all for joining us. I appreciate you all. And thank you. Let's honor this man and all of his greatness. And with that, we yield our time. Good night.
Good night. Thank you guys so much.
Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel on your way out. Appreciate all the support. Green Gang, I saw y'all in the chat. What up, Captain? I seen you in there. Just tuning in, you missed a great show. Catch it on the replay. Rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. Shout out to the greatest network ever, the Lapeef Network. Make sure you guys feel the tease. Click that link in the description. What up, Carlisle? Y'all playing with the likes, y'all. Hit that like button. Hit that like button while you still here. Don't play with it. Shout out to Ameera. Great show. Catch the replay if you just not tuning in. You don't want to miss this one. Hit that like button, family. Hit that like button. Appreciate y'all. We out.